We're just going to look at heels. I did this. I put this picture together after I dissected this 1 foot of Molly's back foot. I put this picture together, just making me a thing. And then I realized, wow, the whole back of her foot is deformed. This is a back foot. Now, it's not as bad as the front feet were for some reason, but you see that? That should not be pulled down like this. See that? That should have gone straight out like this. See, right here, it should not ever curve down. Hoof wall grows from here. The more it curves down, the more your hoof wall is going to grow that way. But you can see that at least in the back foot, she had some better heel. It was not as crushed as they were in the front feet. And I can tell you why that is. Because probably didn't do the back feet as much or the same way I did the front feet. And if you were like me, a lot of people were like, how do I trim the back feet? You know, I mean, you know, do I do that the same? Do I, you know, and that's what's nice now. I trim them all the same. I got the same program for each foot. Now, each foot is different. Each foot has different problems that I'm addressing. But I can do a consistent trim with the anatomical mapping. I can read the foot. I know what it needs. That doesn't mean I trim every foot exactly the same or address it in the exact same way. But the anatomical mapping gives you a guide that then you can adjust here and there for that foot. And that way you can be consistent in your trim. So this foot was a little better than her front foot. See, but that curvy down like that. See, you got to know that you can take all this cartilage and force it right up into the foot here and then hide it behind hoof wall and periopal skin. So it looks like this cute little foot, and yet it's deformed, hoof-bound mess. So we're going to look at inner feet here. Okay, this is an old dissection I did. I didn't know how to get the hoof capsule off. But you see, it's a foot, isn't it? Now, right here is where your coffin bone ends. So all of this is cartilage, and it can all be manipulated in all kinds of different ways and distorted and deformed. Not just trimming the heels out. If you leave too much heel, it can totally distort and deform it as well. And so who all has heard about the so-called 30-degree hairline thing, where they make you a deal of a 30-degree hairline, and you're supposed to trim your horse's hairline to 30 degrees. A wild horse does not have a 30-degree hairline. If you see a wild horse hoof with a 30-degree hairline, that's because it's so dried up and 30 years old. The inner foot, it can have anywhere from a, what do I have here, a 12, 13 to like an 18-degree hairline. See, that is no 30-degree hairline right here. I did a lot of studying on that. This foot had a 15-degree hairline right here. See, I was studying. Strasser states in her book under hoof proportions that the hoof capsule can be considered a cat. I don't want to read her crap, but anyway, she come up with that 30-degree hairline baloney. And that takes the heel right out of your horse. Again, your horse has a foot. Okay, now I remember what I was going to tell you about that video on farrier forgery. I show you what they teach in the vet schools. They teach that the horse's foot is a hoof capsule with parts in it. A coffin bone and a lateral cartilage and a digital cushion and all this stuff. It's a hoof capsule with parts. Yeah, and they might show a foot, but it's like they don't see it as a foot. They see it as parts. And primarily they see it as like an x-ray, as a capsule with a coffin bone. This why you got to get to know the foot. And it was from looking at this foot where I noticed that the sole is not concave. Okay, see, there are so many lies that they believe. So many traditions that are not true, that are taught as scientific fact, that are false. You're looking at the foot here. I noticed this one day. I'm always wanting to get concavity in my horse. And so I think the sole starts right here at the very bottom of the foot. So that would be concave, see? But the sole doesn't start there. The sole starts on the outer edge of the foot. So what you have, the wall goes down like this, but inside the wall, you have a sole that has a convex ridge like that. Now, when it gets here, then it turns concave like this. The sole is what's called crescentric. It partakes of both convex and concave qualities. So that is when I started trying to figure out how to get this nice convex ridge of sole around the whole perimeter of the foot. It turns concave right here. Why should I have to look at feet for thousands of hours to figure this out? Why can't the experts figure this out? It's because when you go to these schools and what they learn in them is tradition based on beliefs out of the Middle Ages and the medieval ages. So when you don't know anything and you trust the people that are teaching you, and you go to a school and they teach you that the sole is just concave, that is all you see. Even if you do a dissection, you're not going to see most of the time, and none of them have. I'm the only one that ever saw this, as far as I know. And if somebody else comes along and says they did, well, then they got it off my channel. So it took somebody with a high degree of a GED to figure this out. Somebody just wanted to fix their horse because the experts screwed them up, trying to understand the foot. So again, the sole is, you're looking to build a convex sole ridge around the perimeter of the foot, and this thing can get really thick. The horse can grow his own shoe, but this sole has to be retained by a strong, tight hoof wall here. Then that sole can grow to its optimum thickness, and your horn tubules have to be in correct alignment. Because remember what I teach, okay? Here's your coronary band up here, right? And it's got all these little papillae that feed these little tubes called horn tubules that make up your hoof wall. They grow down, they're in a line right here. This is, let's say this is a section, well, let's do this. Okay, this is a section of your hoof wall right here. It's thick, right? Around the whole foot. So this section here grows down right here. Now, right here in the alignment of it, of this papillae here and this horn tubule, you got a little papillae here, and you got a lamina, insensitive lamina that connects to the sensitive lamina of the foot right here. And they travel down this one lamina leaf right to here, where they join up with the sole, and then those two travel to the ground together, like that. Now, this is supposed to be right here for the duration of this horse's life. This horn tubule right here, in alignment with these horn tubules here, they are all in alignment, and they are supposed to stay there for the duration of that horse's life. And then you will get a nice thick sole ridge under here, because the sole is not as hard as the wall, and so it needs to be joined up with the wall in order for the wall to retain that sole underneath it. That's how you get a thick sole, because sole will only grow so long. Okay, you have sole tubules, just like you have horn tubules in the wall, about the size of a hair. Okay, so this grows down here, it connects with the sole right here, and then the sole tubule has to be at a certain angle, and it only grows so far before it dies and can be exfoliated, okay, unless it retains it because it don't get worn off or something like that. But they only grow so long. The hoof wall can grow forever, but the sole only grows so long before it dies and then has to be exfoliated. So your horn tubules are all in alignment here, and they connect with the sole in the right place, and then they keep that sole tubule at the right angle, like the horn tubule is at the right angle. Your sole can grow to its optimum thickness. which you can get up to 3/4 of an inch under this foot here. But if for some reason, which the reason is because people trim the heels out or the foot gets long and collapses forward, if for some reason the horn tubule that starts here and should be in alignment and hooked to the lamina here and grow to here and hook to this specific piece of sole here and then grow to the ground together where the sole dies at about here, but the wall keeps going, but you cut the wall back down to the sole. If for some reason this gets displaced, if for some reason when it should be grown from here to here, it winds up growing from here to here, what happens to this sole here that it was supposed to support? First of all, this changes the whole weight-bearing equilibrium between that hoof capsule and that inner foot, changes the whole connection to the lamina and damages it, changes how it no longer supports the sole like it should. So when your sole is supposed to grow this thick, when it's supported correctly by this wall here, then instead of doing that, your sole tubule, a lot of times it's like this. Now look at the length of this. Let's say this is the length of your sole tubule. But since the wall ain't supporting it no more, then that sole tubule is laid over and growing this way. Do you see how that changes the depth of your sole? Let's say this is the depth of your sole, but this is laid over like that, and your horse has very thin sole. So the point is, we bring all these horn tubules into alignment with where they're supposed to start and end, and then they grow down, they pick up the sole here, and they both grow down to the ground together, and that puts that thick rim of sole under your horse's foot here. Convex ridge of sole. See, oh, and here's the deal too. Toe callus. Gene Ovanik, who come up with that concept that you got a toe callus here, does not know that the sole is shaped like this. So that is not a toe callus. Not that now the sole in the toe can definitely get compressed and grow and do things, and stuff. What he was looking at was not necessarily a toe callus. He was just looking at the normal sole of the horse at the convex ridge of sole, which usually can be seen to a greater degree in the toe. When they tell you not to trim the toe callus, here's what they did. They told us, keep taking the heels down, but never touch the toe callus. So you know what that does? Your toe gets way long and messed up. Your heels get way short, and the next thing you know, you got a negative palmar angle, which is heel of the internal foot is lower than the toe. So see, that's just a mess. If this was all right, okay, the heel buttress would support this clear up here. Do you understand that? The heel buttress would push this up here. Okay, now look at the foot. When you're looking at your foot, okay, at a picture frontal view of the hoof capsule, okay, look at how this does this here. See, everything's based on this inner foot. Now look at that. The hairline would be right here. And it goes down like that. Down. It should go down like that. And you're looking at the toe. It should go, you should be seeing something shaped kind of like this. This ain't quite right here, but what I'm saying is you've got to learn how to see this inner foot and know what it's shaped like, and then look at the hoof capsule and understand when it's not being shaped and form fitting to this inner foot here. That is why, I do that dorsal wall mapping where I measure this. Of course, you got to go beyond that because you got sole, right? Because this is about 2.5 inches. The average foot is about 2.5 to 2 3/4 inches from here to here. So you know you want to have at least 3/4 inch of sole down here, right? That is why I come up with the dorsal wall mapping, to help me get the shape of this foot correct. So I know that it is shorter when you go over here 2 inches from here to here. See that? See, there's a reason for this mapping. So if I come down here, where I have some sole, not a very good drawer. Now, this doesn't mean you cut these feet to a certain size. This is to help show you where your distortions are and kind of help you get that foot back to fitting the inner foot. And that's why we do this dorsal wall mapping too, to kind of find out. And so I made, you go 2 inches over this way and measure down this way, and it should be about 1/4 inch shorter than the center here. Why is that? Because it is a different shape. You see how it is a different shape. It gets shorter here. Now look, there's your heel again. You see how this heel, remember I showed you that capsule, right? How that capsule has to have some depth in it right here. And then when all of this is attached, including inside in the bar there, in that heel of the capsule, you have a really stable foot, especially when that heel buttress. Now, here's the coronary corium for the heel buttresses right here. Okay, this kind of looks run forward, but so there's your heel buttress. It's got to come down at least this far so that you got some sole under the heel. You see that? So that you got some sole under here. Now look here, you can really see here that the sole lifts up over the outer edge of the foot, doesn't it? There again, there's that convex sole ridge. This is sole corium. Here's your lamina right here. See, here's where your sole corium starts that grows the sole. The heel buttress should push all this up to where this is all, it's at an angle, but it's level. Okay, there you see how much of the foot is cartilage and why these heels can be so manipulated. And the frog here can be totally manipulated and distorted and pulled under the foot and all kinds of things. Okay, this is a different foot. This really shows the papillae of the sole corium that feed the sole. This is not my dissection. Not my dissection, but look at the cartilage here. See, now this foot has not been too distorted. It's got a pretty nice heel on it. And here's where your heel buttress would grow from right here. Look at how nice and straight the coronary band is. And you see how that cartilage is there? You know that this cartilage is not attached right here. And when this pastern bone descends down through here, this cartilage widens out. Okay, well, there's that foot again. You got to have this much in your hoof capsule to be connected in here, and then an equal amount down here for you to even grow any sole. When you start evaluating these feet, you want to look at this coronary band because you know the hoof wall grows from here. It wants to be pretty straight back like this. When it starts curving down like this, you got problems. Why is that? Because, see, you want that wall all growing like this in an alignment. And so when the coronary band from which the hoof wall grows bends, then you're going to have horn tubules growing this way, and they're going to be growing forward and running into the ones that are growing this way. Okay, here's a heel that's been trimmed out. Look at the bulb is clear down there on the ground. Again, not my dissection. This is a farrier site or something. See how the bulb is clear down here on the right? There's what little heel buttress is kind of bent under here. But see how these feet can get deformed? Now this is just one form of what a foot can look like when the heel buttress is trimmed out. It can take on this form here. This toe is going to probably wind up being distorted because it puts a lot of pressure on the toe when the heel is trimmed out. Okay, here you go. We would think that was the good foot, wouldn't we? Who would have thought that was the good foot at one time? Yeah, me too. And it was really hard for me to look at this one and think of it as the good foot. We really got to get a different mindset where our minds have been corrupted. This is the healthy, natural foot. No, it's not. This is the true, healthy, natural foot. That really kind of drives it home, doesn't it? The lamina here, yeah, they are mashed. See how our minds, we've been taught to see things a certain way, and it's totally wrong. So what we learn is we learn of different signs to look for. You know, where are the bulbs? See, the bulb should be up here, not down here.